Hi there. So we have looked how to use MetaGrid Pro with Cubase, and I promised to do deep dive with different other digital workstations and how to use that and to get workflow benefits and improve your workflow. So let's dive in this session with Studio One and see how to utilize MetaGrid Pro with Studio One. It's my example, so you hopefully get some ideas from it, and you see what type of capabilities these iPad controllers have. So then, of course, it's totally up to you if it fits your workflow to see that, is it worth it? But at least now you get an idea of what can be done and how the MetaGrid Pro looks like with Studio One. Okay, let's get going. Alrighty, so this is how I have set up my MetaGrid Pro with Studio One, and in order to get it working and utilize the certain macros, MetaGrid actually has a deep integration with Studio One. So you need to go into here into MIDI ports and see that the Studio One is enabled. So then that's one thing. And then another thing is that when you are in Studio One, you need to actually go into basically external devices and configure basically the meta system to devices. One that is a specific Studio One in and out for MIDI, and so that's one specific thing. And then another one is basically the Metasystem MIDI in and out. But anyway, they have extremely good videos about and guides how to configure MetaGrid with your digital audio workstation, in this case with Studio One. So I'm not gonna do a very detailed installation and taking into use video. Moreover, I will just explain how I'm utilizing it with Studio One, and then give you some ideas that how good you. So basic is that if we look into the MetaGrid, and I'll put it into the edit mode, is that you can define your own layout. So you can do different type of screens and the different type of controls. So let's go like here we have a lots of space, but here I could basically add a button, a gesture, text, a fader, or a pad. So different type of controllers can be used. I've been mainly utilizing, as you see, buttons and not so much faders in this case. I have some areas where I might use faders, but then again I have a SSL UF8, so I'm not in that need of using faders with MetaGrid Pro. Even if you would not have faders like physical fader unit, then of course you could utilize faders in MetaGrid system as well, create and map them into your virtual instruments, for example. And again, they have very good examples on it, how to do it. So there you can reference their guides on that. Anyway, you can here basically, create different type of components. You can place them in a grid in the different areas. You can customize, of course, the size of these controllers, so you can easily kind of do the desk and do it in a way that you would like to be used, and then create your own template. So I have created these for myself, and when I'm if I actually will show how to create a controller, so I will go into that. But anyway, how I have decided to do for my MetaGrid is that I have decided that I have like this general control where I have the things that I mostly use, like if I want to have small tracks, normal tracks, medium, large, I can easily then go and select that. Then if I select something like a section, I could basically then go and select and loop that section, what I'm selecting. So getting that quickly in place. and then of course I could zoom into that selection if I want to zoom into that, so I can then basically press and switch between the zooms. Then if I select a track, I could basically then go and zoom into the track, and then I could just restore anything that was there before. So that's one thing. Then if I am in a section, like if I'm here, I could go into the next section by basically, you know, selecting next section here, and then previous one. So I can jump from a section to another one. And then of course I could even add one. I can open up the launcher. I haven't yet utilized it, or video screen if I would have a video. So all those things. But then also what I have done here is that if I want to add something, like for example, if I would like to add an instrument, and this is just an example, and I can dive into more into this. So here I have now that I can actually insert an instrument. So if I press here, it will open up an instrument browser for me. Then if I press the BEA1, it will actually select that from me. And then when I press plus, it will actually create a track for me. So with 3 kind of clicks, I can do that quite sufficiently and easy in that respect. And then if I go back here, I can then of course close the browser, and I can deal with the instrument basically. I can deal with the instrument open and close. And let's look now quickly about the macros, what are there in place. So if I go here and I go into macro, you see that I have show instrument editor macro, and I could change this. I could do this quite easily. So let's go into the layout, and let's just create a dummy button here. And let's say that it's a button, so it's the, sorry about that. Let's go undo. Let's first merge, and then we add a button. So now we have the button there. Then we go into the object mode, and now we can go and in the program in different type of things into it. So I can add, and what I can add is a keyboard shortcut, mouse action, text, pause, like pause the script. I can have multiple steps in a script, so I can pause it for 10 seconds to wait, for example, a key things to be entered. I have those specific macros, so you can see Cubase Live, Studio One, Logic Pro, Digital Performer, Reaper, and Doricho. So I'll go into Studio One, and then here I have all the categories what I'm able to do basically. I can also do macros, and I have different type of predefined macros that I could call. I can have a marker to recall a marker, and for example there I think you know, I can have an editor, so chord track editor or whatever. So with these you don't need to do anything. You basically go in and select the macro that you want to use. Like in this case, no activation, but let's do something maybe like, let's see, what would be like, let's do like, no, export stems. So if I would like to have an export stem over there, I just basically have it there, and then I can even try it. So when I press the try here, it actually runs the macro, and I can test the macro before I do the final tweaks on it. But then, like, if I'm happy with this, then I would basically close the window, and then say for the I could add a text saying that this one is basically export, and it was stems. So now when I'm done, so now if I'm not adding any icon in it, I could basically leave it as is. I could also go and add an icon, like, you know, let's go and search, for example, export. That could be the icon. Then of course you need to go into the layout, and you want to say that, okay, I want to have the layout where basic also, that's interesting. First time for me it crashed. So let's get back to it. that was interesting. It actually just updated. So now I'm here, and when I press it, I have the icon and the text. So I get basically now export stems. And then, of course, if you would like to modify that, then you just go and you can, of course, wipe the whole thing and do the macro that you want. So what I'm gonna do is actually, I'm gonna actually delete this, and as I will do on another example. So I go into the layout, and then I just say clear, and I'll create a button, but I use the button for a different cause to show you a different way. Anyway. Merge, add a button. So let's leave it there. Back to the template. I also have a specific for effects. So there is two ways of doing this, and actually in the past I did one thing for my Stream Deck, but here I could basically now utilizing again these macros. So like if I go over there, this macro is show effects. And then what I have here, no, there was nothing selected. Let's go to the object mode, insert selected item. So it will actually insert selected item. So if effect is selected, it will insert that. So now I have this new track that I created for the synthesizer. So I could basically go and say that, okay, let's insert, for example, Saturn. So let's add a saturator into that. So now basically I'm able to pull that off and program that into. And how I have actually done it, let's go back to that. So this is, they have examples for Studio One. So this is from example, I just extended it. So you have first, you have show effect macro. Then what I have next is I have a bit more, I have a bit more different. So Command F will then go into the Finder, into the search here, and then it will type the text that you have there. So in this case, when we had a Southern, the macro looks like that. It will first do Command F, so keyboard command, and then it will actually type in Southern 2, and then it will search it from here. And then with this insert, it will insert the selected item. So that's in a simple way how I have done it. Then there is actually one interesting thing with Studio One, as there is with Cubase, so that you can create certain type of macros that do things for you. So I'll just, as actually this is kind of an extra on what you can do with Studio One specifically, and that is one thing that way it actually differs from other digital audio workstations. If you check out my thing with Cubase, you see that there are similarities, even though in Cubase you don't call them macros, but you call them like program library. I can't remember the name. Anyway, I've been doing those few, but here you have the macro organizer. So in a macro organizer, you can actually create your own macros. And what I have done here is that I have actually macros to pull a plugin. So let's do so that I actually intentionally removed the Pro-Q. So let's do a new macro. So I'll show how to do these macros also as a bonus for this. And we go into the track and we search for track. And then we go into the track, and there you have basically add insert to a selected channel. So that's the macro that you want to do. And then it will appear over here. Then you would basically say a title. So in this case, I would basically recall a Pro-Q. The group would be mixing, as all of other macros that I have created are in that group. And then I could actually say that as a description that recall, or let's say insert Pro-Q. Insert Pro-Q. And then what you need to do is you just basically double click over here. You could also add a splitter or whatever device, but you can go and select that, what device you want to add. So you basically say that add device Pro-Q, and then you say OK. And now the macro is pretty much done. So it's quite easy and straightforward. And then I could just go say OK. And now you see that basically it appeared here. And then what I can now do is I can actually do a shortcut for it. So I can go here and say that, okay, let's say that's Command Alt P. It is not assigned with any at this time, so I can just basically then program this keyboard shortcut. And now I see that it will actually recall this macro. Then I say OK here. The same thing is shown here. So I can basically say, close this macro organizer. And then now when I'm in any of the channels, if I press those commands like P, voila, I get Pro-Q into the channel. And of course, then now this can be, this keyboard macro can be basically then added into your MetaGrid Pro. So let's do that. So just kind of finishing the loop. Remove. All right. So now if I go and then I go and program that into, so I go into the program mode, I go into that button, I go into the macro, then I'm gonna add, and in this case I'm gonna add a keyboard shortcut, and I think it was Shift Option Command, in this case Shift Option Command, and then the letter was B. So that's it. I have the macro now for the Mac. You have the macros also for Windows, so you can basically do that. So then the text would be insert Pro, and where's the dash Q, done. And now I have that button there, and now when I select the track, I should be able to insert the Pro-Q as I am. And then now I can see it over here. Then of course I have here the button also to open and close the mixer. And then I can also detach it. I can make it narrow and wide. Those are the actually keyboard commands that I have made. But then, like if I open now the plugin window, I can actually with this navigate from a plugin to another and then close it. So if I'm in a mixing and I need to basically go into, for example, here, and I want to pull out that one, I want to go to Pro-Q, I can easily do that with few clicks and no mouse needed in that respect. So this is the way you can actually utilize this type of iPad controllers, and in this case specifically the MetaGrid Pro. I have found it very useful for my workflow. I have programmed that for all the different digital audio workstations that I use. It helps me with specifically with the keyboard commands and certain macros, so I don't need to remember them. I just basically program them over here, and then I can go easily from a digital audio workstation to another, and then do the thing over there using the MetaGrid Pro. So yeah. Okay, so hopefully you got some ideas regarding on how to use MetaGrid Pro with Studio One, and some extra tip with Studio One macros, which are extremely handy and also help you with your workflows to kind of make them even more robust. So hopefully you like the content, and remember to subscribe for my channel for more content to come. Thanks for watching. Bye now.